Today's video is about everyone's favorite protein-packed, lens-shaped seed, the lentil. We're all aware of what's going on around the world, and now more than ever is the importance of making pantry raid recipes, using what you have, whether they've been collecting dust on the back shelf or whether you just recently added them. So whether or not this is your first bag of lentils or you're all in on lentils futures, I got you, because today we're making lentils 4 ways. Any self-righteous video about lentils is going to start with dal. This can refer to both the lentil and the spiced Indian dish. Used in a sentence, let's make some Dal Tadka with Masoor dal. Take half of an onion and cut it into half moons from root to stem. Now at the stove, get a saucepan over medium heat, add 170 grams or around 1 cup of dried lentils with 500 milliliters or around 2 cups of water. To that, we're also going to add 2 grams of ground turmeric, bring this mixture up to a boil, then cover it and set it aside. With the lentils simmering, it's time to temper our spices, a common technique used in Indian cooking. Set a frying pan over medium-high heat. Add in 30 grams of high-heat vegetable oil or ghee if you have it. Drop in 4 grams of cumin seeds and fry for 20 to 30 seconds. Next, toss in your red chilies for just 10 seconds. Be careful, they can burn really fast. Now toss in your half-moon onions and stir fry until the onions are just starting to brown, around 4 to 5 minutes. You may need to turn down the heat just a tad so they don't burn. Next, add in about half a cup of crushed tomatoes and simmer the whole mixture for 20 seconds. With the lentils done simmering, we're going to add our tempered spices from the frying pan straight into the saucepan. Give that a good stir up and taste it. You're going to need to add salt to taste. We haven't added any at this point. Make sure you do this with all lentil dishes because they can be fairly bland unless you get your salt levels right. With our perfectly salted and spiced tadka dal, serve this into a large bowl. This can be eaten with white rice or flatbreads such as naan, or just enjoyed as is. Next up is a creamy and delicious roasted garlic and lentil hummus, which I guess technically isn't hummus because there's no chickpeas, but misnomer or not, I'm calling it lentil hummus. First, chop off the top of a head of garlic and season with salt, pepper, and a nice drizzle of olive oil. You're going to wrap that in aluminum foil and let that roast in a 400-degree oven for 35 minutes. Meanwhile, prepare the lentils. Add in 170 grams of dried lentils with 500 milliliters water to a saucepan and a small sprinkle of salt. You're going to bring that to a boil, reduce the heat and cover, and let simmer for 10 to 15 minutes until done. Now if you're like me and trying to set up different camera angles and getting distracted, you may really overcook your lentils. But no worries, we're going to be blending these up anyway. To a food processor, add the cooked lentils, your cooled roasted garlic. You did let it cool, didn't you? Like I was saying, your cooled roasted garlic, a spoonful of tahini, lemon juice, and 4 grams of ground cumin. Give the mixture a rough pulse together, and now while blending, add in olive oil until the desired consistency is reached. Taste this using your favorite hummus serving vessel and add salt and more lemon juice as needed. To serve, spend way too long trying to make a fancy spoon swirl, then you can add a drizzle of olive oil, a pinch of paprika, and some fresh flat leaf parsley. You can use this on flatbreads, vegetables, sandwiches, salads, and more. Can we make the famed flavorful rice pilaf out of lentils? Sure we can. Lentil pilaf. Take half of an onion and half of a carrot and finely dice them into small cubes. We want these pieces very small so they kind of seamlessly melt away with the lentil pilaf, but still provide all of that aromatic flavor. Set a shallow saucepan over medium heat and add in 15 grams or 1 tablespoon of butter. Add in the minced onions, the carrots, and a small pinch of salt, and cook while stirring until the onions and carrots are translucent and cooked down, probably about 6 to 8 minutes. Now you're going to pour in 170 grams or 1 cup of dried lentils and saute until they're coated and heated through, about 2 to 3 minutes. Now you're going to drop in your aromatics, 1 bay leaf and 2 sprigs of thyme, and apparently decide that that drop wasn't good enough for the camera, so you're going to do it again. Now add in 500 milliliters or 2 cups of stock. Any kind you have will do. I had some frozen turkey stock in the freezer, and that's why you see it off on the stove to your left. Stir and bring the whole mixture to a simmer, then you can cover this and let it go for about 15 minutes. You want to be very careful when using red lentils because they can get mushy fast, so don't be afraid to check on this or use a more sturdy lentil variety like brown or green lentils. Once the lentils are done cooking, you can add in salt, pepper, and a pat of butter if you want to. I also like to add in some fresh parsley and then fluff this up and taste it. Add more salt as you need. To serve this, I poured it into a bowl and added some fresh shaved pecorino romano. And actually, this humble bowl of lentil pilaf ended up being my favorite dish of the bunch. Well, the next one's really good too. Last up on our lentil litany is a spiced red lentil soup. What she lacks for in looks, she makes up for on the taste buds. This soup recipe was based off one that I found in the Dean and DeLuca cookbook. What you're gonna do is take half of an onion and just dice that up. Then you're gonna take 2 cloves of garlic and thinly slice them. Lastly, just shave off the zest from a lemon and you're going to cut these up into strips. And the citrus is really what provides the punch in this soup. At the stove, forgot to dry that pan. It's been getting a lot of use with these lentils today. But you're gonna toss in a nice drizzle of olive oil, then you're going to add in your onions and your garlic. To that, we're gonna add our ground spices, 4 grams or 1 tablespoon of coriander, 4 grams or 1 tablespoon of cumin, and 2 grams or about 1 teaspoon of ground ginger. And I also decided to add a small pinch of cayenne pepper. Let everything cook while stirring for about 7 minutes until the onions just start to brown. Now you're gonna pour in 170 grams or around 1 cup, as always, of your dried lentils and toss in 750 milliliters or 3 cups of water. Lastly, add in your strips of lemon zest. Now we're going to bring this whole mixture to a boil, then cover and reduce the heat. You're gonna simmer this for 10 to 15 minutes until the soup is smooth. While that simmers, we're gonna prepare this nice little yogurt sauce to use as a topping. You're gonna mix together some plain yogurt, minced cilantro, the juice of a half of lemon, and a nice pinch of salt. You're just gonna whisk this together with a fork until it's silky and smooth, and this is gonna provide some nice tanginess to our soup when we put it in the bowl. With the lentils done, this is optional, but I take an immersion blender or you can throw it into a stand blender to give this soup a nice creamy texture. Now you're gonna give this a taste and add some salt, give it a taste, and really dial in those salt levels. To serve this, I ladled it into bowls, then added a nice dollop of that yogurt sauce, and then I also found some red peppers in the pantry, so I thought slice those up and throw them on as well. Then I also had some cured egg yolks left from the video the other week. Decided to give a shaving on of those as well. And this was one of the favorite little soups. Just had it again for lunch today. Oh, so delicious. And there you have 4 different ways to enjoy lentils. And all of these came together in less than 45 minutes, and that includes filming time. I probably could have done these even faster. Even after all those recipes, I still have more lentils. And I did want to point out that in times like these, don't get caught up in having every single ingredient for the recipe that you're trying to make. You know, don't be afraid to think outside the box and kind of break down the recipes into their base components. A lot of these you could really break down into saute some aromatics in a fat, add your legume, lentil in this case, add some liquid like stock or water, add any spices you want, and there you go. You know, you could use black beans for the lentil soup we made, you could use pinto beans for the hummus. Like, it's really a basic format for most of these recipes. You could use different kinds of lentils because there are differences. Some cook down a little bit faster, some are a little bit slower, some have slightly different flavor profiles. But all in all, I think the importance is just making sure you're using what you have. Anyway, that's gonna wrap it up for this edition of Pantry Raid Recipes. Hopefully this gives you some ideas of what you can do with lentils. Stay safe, everyone, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace.